Recording in progress. Okay, show me your Geordie album.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that. It's not here.
Oh, okay. I mean, I went
Um,
for some reason. A few maybe during the lockdown, I went and watched a whole load of stuff of him singing with Geordie, and fucking hell, his voice was
okay,
strong,
okay.
immense.
Give
So we're
me
starting. We're starting here now. Bon Scott died.
yeah.
Um,
Carry on.
and so obviously it's Brian Johnson that they got. He was in a band Geordie, and you can find loads on YouTube. They were pretty. They did okay in this in mid late 70s, but they by 70 whatever they'd split up 78, 79, I think. But you can find footage of them on Thames TV, English TV, and fuck, his voice is strong game. You can see him wearing flares as well and platform boots. But
Yeah, I can't
I drink
seem to find it.
my pink drink
Oh,
of
here it is.
goodness.
Here it is.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. All right.
So
File under G.
no, I used to anyway. So this is the one that I have.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool here. It has like a sideburns.
Oh yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
but this is a weird album. I think there's one song here called "Natural Born Loser." This is by far the best song here.
Yeah.
But you can hear what a fucking singer he is here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
This is
and
yeah.
he had a different kind of voice when you listen back to Geordie and 70s stuff.
Yeah,
Like
this
he's
is
singing. It's not all the time. Like it's not
no.
pretty.
It's more normal singing because
Funny.
this is 1973, so this is 7 years before.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he was only like playing pops and shit before. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't the famous guy, famous active guy
No.
when they got the call.
No, I mean Geordie was a band like that tried hard. They did obviously some gigs in Europe. They tried to break it, but whether it was this combination of songwriting, image, whatever, they just didn't click. It's somewhere between Slade and a bit of barroom boogie, status quo, and then it's maybe like an equivalent of Golden Earring or something, or well, maybe that's not right to say. They were okay,
Yeah.
but his voice sticks out a mile. His voice is really, really strong, and he also does this kind of high, clean singing, which is gritty, like AC/DC, but it's fucking
I mean,
great.
I think he's kind of. I mean, we'll get into it later, but he's really, really, really good there as a vocalist.
Yeah.
So
yeah, really.
I can understand because the legend goes that Bon saw Geordie live.
Yeah.
And he was having his, appendix, he was fucking dying out of pain, lying on the ground because something happened to him. The gallbladder or something.
Gallbladder
had exploded. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So he was in that sort of pain while Bon saw him. That's the story that I heard.
Yeah.
So Bon was just, of course, like, holy fucking shit, this guy is really into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he told the lads, hey, I mean, I saw this geezer.
Yeah. And his apparently, so the story goes that he'd more or less given up on being being a singer or whatever. He was working in his dad's car mechanic shop, and he got the call, and his manager had said, well, we're going to send you down to London because you're recording vocals for a TV ad, so you might as well, while you're there, try out for this band, but I can't tell you who it is.
What band? Yeah, I can't tell you what band it is. Yeah. Crazy story.
Yeah, and so he shows up and he's playing pool with the crew downstairs in the bar, and then realizes, oh, it's fucking AC/DC.
I think like he saw a flight case or something.
Yeah, and so apparently the first song he sang was Tina Turner, Nutbush City Limits. They played that.
Yeah.
And Johnny B. Gore and Chuck Berry as well. I can imagine his voice. I can imagine his voice killing Nutbush City Limits, which is an amazing song anyway. But Tina Turner's range is like he's in that range to sing that properly.
But I just a friend of mine was the specialist. My friend Smauri, who knows everything about this. I didn't know it, but that Brian is singing in falsetto.
Yeah.
So he's doing. Bon didn't do falsetto; he did full range. So, but that's why it's sort of. He can go pretty fucking high.
Yeah, really high. Really, really high.
Yeah, it's really high.
Well, hang on. What do you mean by... Well, I mean, yeah, Bon Scott doesn't sing falsetto, but I
No,
mean,
but Brian is doing
yeah,
it's falsetto.
yeah, well,
It's not,
it's in this really really high range. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, so total point is it's a totally different technique,
Yeah,
but both guys work.
yeah. I mean, realistically, Brian Johnson is a far better singer. Technically, he's
Yeah, sure, I agree, but he's not as cool.
no, he's not as cool, but he's got to try and compete with what Bon Scott was would have been wrong. He brought something else, which is this sort of
Yeah,
rough, kind of like every man I work on a building
I
site
mean,
sort of
but
thing, you know.
don't get me wrong. Brian Johnson is an amazing singer,
Yeah,
amazing frontman, and stepping into those shoes
yeah.
is just something that was not supposed to be possible.
And don't forget, we talked about this the last time, is that in the 1970s, when you said, Bon probably sang lots of poor gigs, by the 1980s, early 1980s, people had started to have video cameras, and there's loads more footage of early Brian Johnson, and you
Yeah,
watch him killing it, like killing the singing
yeah, yeah.
almost every single fucking night. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter at all to him. And then that vocals, I don't know if you've ever tried to sing any of that stuff. I remember I got up and sang Hell's Bells with a covers band in
That's not easy, man.
it's fucking like it's like I can do that. I can sing high and put
Yeah,
grit into it, but this is I'm a rolling
yeah.
thunder.
Okay,
But like it's so
okay,
like, fucking hard.
okay. That being said, I mean, we
Yeah.
all know, and we haven't even started this episode anyway. But
No.
no. But that being said, when Brian was out of the band for a while and Axl Rose stepped in,
Yeah.
I mean, Axl Rose has always been, this great vocal range. He even took lessons and said, because this is a really, really difficult stuff to sing.
Yeah.
You have
Really.
to do it properly. So he basically took vocal lessons just to be able to do it.
Yeah, but don't forget also Axl Rose. Previous to that, had lots of gigs, where he had Sebastian Bach get up and sing instead of him. His voice was completely shot. He was hugely
Yeah,
overweight. So like Axl Rose was kind of done. So then to have to get match fit to sing AC/DC, he obviously
yeah.
had to slim down, get whatever he stopped to drink and stop whatever else, and
But
like get back in the game. And I agree. I was a big cynic towards that because of the simple fact that he was sitting in a fucking chair and it was
yeah, of course.
fuck off. This how on rock and roll is that to be? But you're right. His voice did sound great on some of the '70s songs.
Okay.
You know.
True, but we're still talking about AC/DC with Bon here, or even Axl Rose now. But
Okay, let's forget that then.
now the coolest thing is that Axl had something to say. They did like Down Payment Blues. They did Riff Raff. They did Sin City.
Yeah.
They did loads of stuff that Brian hadn't done ever or in 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but also don't forget Axl Rose, as old as he is, still is 20 years younger than Brian Johnson or 15 years younger. So.
True, very true, very true. He fucking loves AC/DC. But the weirdest thing about this is Bon. We left off where Bon was dead in January 1980.
February the 5th,
February.
5th or 6th or 7th or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So his last show was in January.
Yeah.
This album, Back in Black,
Yeah.
it comes out. I mean, it's written, recorded, and it comes out less than 12 months after he died. 10 months after he died.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, this is my favorite AC/DC album. This and Power Rage are neck and neck, right? Like that. As let's say, Power Rage is my emotional favorite record, but
Yeah.
if I'm to pick, like in the cold light of day, this is probably the greatest rock and roll record ever made. Like
Sure. I
of
mean,
all
no,
bands, all bands.
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much Bon Scott fanatic you are,
Yeah,
and you can talk about everything, But this album is probably their best.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those records. It's like Rain and Blood or something. There isn't a single tone, note, pick out of place. It's the most like you crank this up on a huge stereo or on a PA, and Hell's Bells comes in, which is a fucking evil riff, by the way. Any black metal band would kill for Hell's Bells as a riff. It's just massive sounding. Still, the vocals are off the charts. Everything, Shoot to Thrill. It's just.
But then again, like you said, there's another song there where actually a black metal band did rip off the riff. That's a question for you today. What black metal band did rip off a riff of this album in the last 5 to 10 years.
In the last 5 or 10 years. But is it a band that you think is black metal that I wouldn't think is black metal?
It's was one of the most famous black metal bands on the planet, from Norway.
All right.
Two-piece band. You're an idiot if you don't get it.
Oh, it's Darkthrone then, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Let Me Put My Love Into You is, there's a song on, not the last Darkthrone album, the one before. They just took it.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun,
I mean, that song, if you ask me for my favorite AC/DC song out of all of them, it's probably that one. And I have a hard time saying it because it's not with Bon.
Wow, really?
But that song, man, is just, I don't know. Probably my favorite of this album.
Do you know what's weird? I've just noticed, right? For example, on the back of Back in Black, it lists Back in Black as the first song.
But it isn't.
But it's not. It's Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
I don't think I have this vinyl. I used to have it on CD.
Really?
No, I don't have this vinyl.
I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just it's glorious bad taste, as they say. Your singer dies in February, and in September, October, you bring out possibly the greatest rock and roll album ever made.
But then again, a big elephant in the room is that George Young is out of the picture for the first time.
No.
Second time.
Mutt Lange
Highway
to Hell, yeah.
But Mutt Lange is there doing their second album, his second album with them.
Yeah.
And this is sort of where they master it.
Yeah.
They master the craft here.
Yeah, everything. There's not a note out of place. And also, I have to say, fuck punk rock, Back in Black. Punk rock was supposed to have killed hard rock, right? And 1980 is the year of Ace of Spades, Back in Black, Heaven and Hell, just three off the top of my... Oh, punk rock killed the biggest selling rock album of all time. Get out of here.
Yeah, well, they are still sort of undefeated. There's not a bad song or note on this album.
Well,
I mean, read the songs.
All right. Well, you've got Hell's Bells to start with.
It's a 10.
Yeah.
It's a 10.
Shoot to Thrill, same.
It's same.
Giving the Dog a Bone.
It's good. It's good, but you know.
Actually, these are all mixed up on the back. So let's just take a look at the record. Okay, you've got What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Yeah, I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah.
That's a sort of Bond type lyric and a Bond type turn in the vocal phrasing a bit, you know. Giving the Dog a Bone, of course, still classic.
It's classic.
Let Me Put My Love Into You. Yeah.
That's just out of this world.
And then side B opens with Heavy Hitters, Back in Black. Can't argue with that.
No. It's crazy. It's crazy good.
You Shook Me All Night Long, which I'm tired of hearing, but it is ridiculously good.
I mean, it's like We Are the Champions or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Have a Drink on Me. Same. Shake a Leg. Even when I think about it as one of the lesser songs in it, it's still huge. And then Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution to end with.
It's a good one.
It's fucking incredible.
I mean, this is a crazy good album. Which is
look at this. Listen to this. Recorded at Compass Point Studios, which is in the Bahamas, April to May 1980. So that means they literally
April.
Yeah, and May 80.
But okay. This, of course, is a fuel to the rumor that they had written some stuff with Born Alive. He's fucking dead in so tell me, when did they fucking write this album? In April.
Yeah, March.
March. Yeah, we wrote it in March.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it makes it, you never know with AC/DC because they don't tell.
No, they're a secretive band.
Yeah, and so I mean, Angus and Malcolm must have had ideas knocking around in '79. Like they have to have had riffs and ideas, but there's no demos. I mean, people say there's demos of Back in Black with Bon Scott, but I never heard them or saw them.
No one has heard it. No, it's been of course rumors, but it's just crazy that you can write such a good album in such a short time.
I mean, it could be that while Bon was living it up in London and out partying, the rest of the guys were just like, "Fuck it,
probably
let's get together."
Probably, but you know, it's just so crazy that. But this album, of course, it comes out in November '80.
Yeah, I think so.
And this is one of the most sold albums in the universe.
I think it's in the top 3.
5.
Yeah, top 5. I think it's even maybe third or something, biggest selling album
I
of all
mean,
time. It's something like 75 million copies, just this on its own, or 70.
I mean, there is
Maybe I added 10.
there is this Hotel California shit.
Yeah,
best of.
The Best of the Eagles 2.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Thriller. Okay, that's number 1. Best of the Eagles. But I think this is more than the Best of the Eagles. I think this might be the second biggest selling album of all time. It sold more copies than the biggest selling Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Rolling Stones albums.
Yeah. So, that's just fucking crazy, man.
I'm pretty sure that this record is sitting at about 72 or 3 million copies.
And the thing is, it ages perfectly. There's nothing on this album that you would say, oh, it's a bit too much 70s, too much 80s. It's like timeless rock and roll classic.
Also, let me put in Judas Priest, British Steel into my 1980 heavy metal thing. But yeah, it's just flawless. I mean, it is a flawless record. I mean, so it doesn't have the kind of swagger and character, maybe a Power Age, but it's a different thing. All of a sudden, AC/DC are more muscular. It's more, the choruses are huge. It's filling stadiums. It's a different kind of thing,
It's a stadium, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, is weird because, I mean, everything worked there.
Yeah.
The production, the producer, the songwriting.
Yeah.
Writing it in fucking 4 months. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, yeah.
So the weird thing is that it didn't work here.
I think it almost did, but not quite.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I think that this is I think For Those About to Rock is a great record, but I
don't think it's a great album.
No, well, I think okay. It's compared, I guess, because the bar has been set so high by Back in Black. Like by any band standard, this is still a great rock record, and I think it is. But I agree, it's not.
But the weird thing is that the Back in Black comes out in November 1980. And it comes out November 80, and by the rules, you would go touring, right?
Yeah.
Shut up, Avril. You would go touring, right?
Well, so, yeah, obviously.
Why would you, when you just did the biggest album in the universe, why would you do another one 12 months later, less than 12 months later?
Because I think all those old bands did have that work ethic. They just went tour, record, right on tour. Like they just.
Yeah, but you're still there was such a high demand for Akadaka to be touring after Back in Black.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, history was different. Metallica toured their Black album for 4 or 5 years almost.
Yeah, but these bands were writing on tour, going straight from the tour to the rehearsal room. I mean, I personally, I think the production on this is also incredible. Like it's huge, It's
Hey, but dude, tell me, is it the other one's in the Bahamas?
This
is recorded in Paris.
Yeah, in Paris. Yeah. I mean, this one has one of the biggest drum sounds you've ever fucking heard. The guitar sound on this is absolutely incredible. And I have to say, this does contain some of Brian Johnson's best vocals. Like his vocals are fucking incredible on this record.
I'm just gonna drop the bomb here and say this album only has one good song on it.
Okay, well let's not say good. Let's say classic, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. One great song, because the standard now is fucking Back in Black.
Yeah, sure. So For Those About to Rock is as good as those songs.
Right? Sure. That is. But then again, if we would remove For Those About to Rock of this album, it's almost shite.
No, it's not shite, man. No, it's not shite, but it's I mean, the songs, instead of being 9 and 10 out of 10, are 7 for me,
5, 6.
I don't know. I mean, I think one of a really deep cut on this is Spellbound. That's a great song.
I mean, Inject the Venom is okay, but they're just not doing anything.
Well, go through them there then. You've got, what have you got? You've got After For Those About to Rock. You've got Let's Put the Finger on You. It's pretty good. Let's Get It Up.
What? Hold on. Do we have different track listing here? What's the second song on your album?
Put the Finger on You.
Oh, it's the same. It's a different track list here and on the album.
Again, on the back, it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Oh yeah. So song 2 is Put the Finger on You. It's not, doesn't do anything for me.
Okay, well, let's be honest. Like, okay, there's look. Let's Get It Up, 12-inch. Let's Get It Up is a fucking good song. That's a. Let's Get It Up is as good as Shake a Leg or Giving the Dog a Bone. I think Let's Get It Up is a great song.
No, I don't agree. I think
I don't know. It's better than the others. It's better than the other songs.
This is almost like B takes, outtakes of fucking.
You're right. That's true. I'd agree with that. I have another 12-inch.
But this for those about to rock, it's a tenor, so it's what makes this album.
Well, here you go. Here's For Those About to Rock, 12-inch, and I have. Did you get those as a teenager or what? No, I would say well, yeah, as a teenager, I would say I bought them 89, 90 maybe.
In Dublin, in a record store.
Yeah, Let There Be Rock has For Those About to Rock has Let There Be Rock on the other side, and Let's Get It Up just has Back in Black and TNT recorded December in 81. Oh, TNT from 81. Right, okay. You forget what you have sometimes. But I mean, yeah, so
okay.
I think Let's Get It Up is a good song. Inject the Venom isn't great.
It's all right.
Snowballed is bad song. It's not great. Snowballed.
Just admit it. It's bad. It's all bad.
No, not bad, but not as good. Yeah, Evil Walks I like as a song.
No.
COD, Breaking the Rules, Night of the Long Knives, which is a weirdly titled song for AC/DC. It's kind of black metal song title. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing about it is this is a bit of a romantic album for me because this is the first one I bought with my own money.
Of course, I get it. That's completely understandable. Yeah.
But you're right. You know what it does? It sounds like the songs that didn't make Back in Black. You're right.
But it's not like it came out 10 years later, or it's like not even 12 months later. It's the same producer and same budget for studios. And
I guess they were just so successful, they just kept rolling, you know? And the other thing about it is when this came out, it went into the US charts at 1, displacing...
Because they were still there on Back in Black, probably.
Yeah, so they were 1 and 2. And then they released, I think it's either Dirty Deeds...
Dirty Deeds, we talked about it.
Came out, and that was at 3. So at one stage in the American Billboard chart, they were 1.
And that's funny because the Dirty Deeds was then, like 6 years old or something, 5 years old. Yeah, and it's a bad album. It's not a good album.
No, it's not. It's fucking weird.
So,
okay, but if Back in Black is like 10 out of 10, this record is 7 out of 10, 6.5.
5, 6.
I wouldn't give it 5, man. It's better than 5 because it's got 3. Okay, let's say
6.
For Those About to Rock, Let's Get It Up, and Spellbound are really strong, and the rest are.
For Those About to Rock, it's not in the same league as any other song here.
No, it's way better. You're right. Yeah, you're right, and it is one of the best songs they ever wrote.
And the only song that has survived the set list is For Those About to Rock.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So nothing has survived.
We see the thing about it is I would still give it a bit more than 7 because I'm still okay. I think there's 2 categories of which to judge these things. Out of 10 compared to other AC/DC albums, and then out of 10 compared to other bands. And like For Those About to Rock, for me, still kills most.
Sure, that's a different measurement of course.
Two different metrics, yeah. So then,
yeah, but the bar has been set, and now we're talking about Back in Black standard here.
So now this is where it all starts to get interesting for me, because AC/DC then do a bunch of things that I understand. They get rid of Mutt Lange. Him and Malcolm Young fall out. They get rid of Mutt Lange, who'd been the success, let's be honest, for the previous 3 albums. He'd been huge.
He broke them. He fucking broke them.
Yeah, so he helped, but they fell out. They also seemed to get sober around this time. The band stopped being...
only Malcolm does.
Right. Well, no, I think Angus was kind of sober as well, though, wasn't he?
But, the only guy that has sort of sobered up is Malcolm Young.
Yeah, okay, so...
Angus...
So then they take like a year off. 1982 seems to be a year where the no album comes out. And then we get Flick of the Switch, which... So this is I have a really big soft spot for this. I actually think the songs on this are better than For Those About to Rock.
I agree.
But the production, you can hear it's nowhere near. Like Mutt Lange, it's
okay.
totally missing. So this is Tony Platt. They've gone back to Nassau Point in the Bahamas where they made Back in Black, but they haven't brought Mutt Lange.
No, that's the thing. I think they were like, we don't need that fucking wanker.
Yeah.
So, but they did.
Yeah, they totally did. Absolutely.
They totally, yeah. So, but the big elephant in the room here is that this album says that Phil Rudd is playing it.
Yeah, he is playing it.
No.
No?
Well, that's the rumor that he's not.
Really? It doesn't really sound like him. Like, it does sound like Simon Wright.
That's the whole thing. So, in the comment section, again, if you're a fucking AC/DC fanatic, listen to it and tell us if this is fucking Simon or
well, I mean,
Phil Rudd.
It's hard to
I think it's not Phil Rudd.
Really? But I will say this, that the production doesn't help being able to tell, because it's not Phil Rudd's drum sound, you know? Like, this is clearly a record that suffers from not having Mutt Lange. And it's if you think about this, the previous 3 records for AC/DC they got bigger and bigger. They're resounding successes. For Those About to Rock, I'm sure if you look it up, has sold 10, 15 million. The next couple of records drop off massively.
Sure. But that's the whole 80s. But the thing is, when this album, I mean, Back in Black is so big. This is so much flying under the radar. It's almost invisible. It's basically invisible. Yeah. Because millions of people, it's like, what? I never seen that before. When did that come out?
Yeah, or they don't know any songs off it. And I mean, and it's a shame because the songs on this are better than For Those About to Rock, I think, you know.
I agree. There's Rising Power is great. There is some horniness here, but
look at this. I think that Guns for Hire is the standard. That's a really great song. And the video for it is cool when you see them in the rehearsal room, you know.
Yeah.
So Rising Power
Rising
Power is a weird song to start with. I
like it.
This one thing you can hear very clearly on this album is the vocal production is horrible, and it's the same with the next record. And Mutt Lange brought out an incredible vocal production for whatever.
I mean, Mutt Lange was top dollar guy, man. He was the state of the art producer.
On this record, Brian's voice is kind of back, and there's an awful lot of sort of washy delay and a very pocky drum sound, and you know, I
think that they were just that fucking big, and they said, "Oh, we don't need this fucking geezer. We're doing it on our own."
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, Malcolm Young, I don't want to talk badly about him. He's a fucking genius, but I mean, him drunk, he's probably the guy who would sort of get into fights with people.
Yeah, I heard he beat up one of Deep Purple or something at some fight or something.
I think he was a hard-headed guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't tolerate bullshit. He didn't take crap for anyone. Yeah. So if he didn't like you, he would fucking tell you.
Yeah. But there is good songs on this. I mean, This House is on Fire is all right. Flick of the Switch, the title track, is great. If that song had huge production like Back in Black, really good. Yeah. Nervous Shakedown, I'm not really a fan of.
This is one of the few songs of few albums that you can say, but it's an underrated album.
Yeah, it is. I listened to it last week in the gym, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it's an enjoyable rock record.
It's an underrated album.
It's not.
That's not to be said about the next few albums.
Well, actually, I disagree, but we'll see. So, I mean, what would you give it? If you gave For Those About to Rock 6, would you give this 6.5?
7.
You give it 7 out of 10. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I think we're going to argue now about the next album, because I actually prefer this fucking record.
Oh, this is shite. Pure shite, mate.
No way.
There's not a single good song here.
I totally disagree. I think that Shaky Foundations is a fucking classic.
And even the sound is just not sexy.
No, you're totally right. I will say this about this record is that this is the hardest DC record, the heaviest.
Let me check this sentence out. Let me see your underwear.
What?
Let me see your underwear.
My underwear?
Yeah.
Why?
Not your underwear, you idiot. We call this underwear.
Underwear.
Yes, sir.
Inner sleeve. Okay.
Underwear.
Okay, what have you got on yours? It's a weird color as well, brown.
Yeah, it's weird.
You got
It's
lyrics?
sort of
Yeah,
yeah.
same thing.
And it says some weird stuff here about a video.
Yeah, because this is what see. Okay, let me parse this, because this is the years where I first really got into AC/DC, right? So 85, around this time, 84, 85 was when I first heard of AC/DC and introduced. And one of the first things I ever saw was Shake Your Foundation's video on TV. And if you go and look for it, I have it somewhere. There's a video of 3 songs, which is like Danger, Shake Your Foundations, and one of the songs, Stand Up, I think, where they're playing in a bar in New York and the bar collapses around them. And it's a long form video, which is like, it's kind of really weird. It's a 15-minute video with a storyline around this drunk guy trying to chat up this girl and this little fly buzzing around watching him. It's kind of cool and weird. And it's AC/DC with their Angus in his full flowing haired fucking headbanging best. And and that was the
80s
first,
Angus.
this is one of the first things that I saw.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's I totally get it, because I mean, like we said before, my first one was Who Made Who, and sort of when you discovered this stuff.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
this is
But I do agree with you. The production on this record, even though I like it, it's not right for AC/DC. Like, it's so hard, it's so heavy. Like, the guitar sound is almost kind of thrash metal in a way. Like, there's huge delay on the drums, which doesn't suit a huge snare sound. The vocals are way back, you know.
Victim of the 80s here. But I mean, compared to, I mean, if you go back, I mean, Powerade sounds amazing.
Sure. I mean,
Highway to Hell, Back in Black.
Of course, you were right. This is a victim of the mid 80s. But think about it. So this one doesn't even have Tony Platt. Tony Platt did Flick of the Switch. This has Mark Durnley engineered, Mountain Studios, Montreux, Switzerland.
Yeah, this is produced by themselves.
Yeah, so that's why it sounds the way it does.
So, yeah. So, but then again, this is recorded at the Purple Studio, Smoke on the Water Studio in Switzerland.
Like, I think for any other band, it's a cool sounding record. If this was a Crocus record, you'd be like, fucking hell, Crocus sound great. But it's because it's AC/DC.
Yeah, but you know, they obviously were sort of a little bit full of themselves. We don't need these fucking geezers.
Yeah. I mean,
let's just do it ourselves.
I think Fly on the Wall, the title track, is a great song. I think Shake Foundations. Shake Foundations is, I think, is almost classic song. I love this.
This does nothing for me.
First Blood, not great. Danger, I don't really like. Sink the Pink, okay.
I mean, this is the first album here that is stated that Phil Rudd is not playing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
like, I'll say this: a song like "Playing with Girls" sounds like Motorhead. Like, it's like, it's actually stand up.
I don't know. I mean,
I love that, but
even if this was in better production, but AC/DC is such a simple thing. Production plays such a big part of it.
Yeah, you're right. But I do agree with you. It is a combination of it being from 1985 and lots of things.
And they are too full of themselves, saying we don't need a fucking good producer.
Yeah,
because you know.
And I think that there's not many records in 1985 that have the drum sound of 1978, and it's easy for us to look back in the year 2020 million, whatever we're in, and go, of course the drum sound from 78 is better. Like, it is, arguably.
Yeah, but 5 years before, they're doing a drum sound that's like one of the best in the world.
Of course, but they got rid of Mutt Lange, didn't they? But like mid 80s, everybody's reaching for reverb and delay units, and
and it only gets worse here.
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, I have a very soft spot for this and Flick of the Switch. I think they're underrated records.
Is this a 4 out of 10?
No, for me this is like, if Flick of the Switch is 7, for me this is then 6, 6.5.
4. Let's say 4.5.
Well, I don't really give any AC/DC record 4. But yeah, it's a weird record. I mean, I personally, like I said, it's when I got into AC/DC, so I have a soft spot. But yeah, it's weird. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it with less distortion and drive and delay.
But I totally get it, because if when you fall in love with this as a young man, as a teenager, and it's nothing to do with AC/DC, just the music in general, you will love it like a child with unconditional love.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think Fly on the Wall is the worst AC/DC album. It certainly isn't.
Oh, we're in for a treat here.
Yeah.
So is this the worst AC/DC album then?
Yeah, but that's not next. This is next.
This is next.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Okay.
the song "Who Made Who" is great. I think it's really.
But it's a good song. But this, I mean, this really isn't an AC/DC album.
No,
It's weird.
It's not. But I will say this for people who don't know this record. There's 2 songs on this that are instrumentals, and the one "Chase the Ace" is a really good song. If it had singing over it, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
really good rock song. But you're right. It's just it's from the movie Maximum Overdrive.
I mean, Who Made Who is a really good song.
It is. It's again weird production. Like it sounds like a drum machine, a real pocky drums. But the riff is really weird. It's like dark. It's melancholic. It's almost black metal.
Yeah.
And I find that really strange, you know. But it's one.
So it's Who Made Who. It's okay. It's a great song.
Yeah.
You Shock Me All Night Long. I mean, it's from Back in Black. It's a killer.
Of course, yeah.
DT. What is that?
It's an instrumental.
Instrumental one.
Yeah. It's Sink the Pink. Okay, from Fly on the Wall. Yeah, average song. Right On.
Right On. It's a good song. It's with Bon. I mean, there's 2 songs here from. I mean, this can't be a bad album. There's 2 songs here from Back in Black, and the good song from Those About to Rock. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is some weird compilation album, right?
Well, it's from the movie Maximum Overdrive.
I know, but I know. So it's a soundtrack.
It's the nearest AC/DC we're going to be persuaded to make a best of album. But also the weird thing is, how did Stephen King manage to persuade them to give him all those songs for a fucking movie that was crap?
I don't know, man. I don't even who remember this movie.
This was my first ever rock shirt. Was an original Who Made Who shirt. Yeah.
T-shirt. Where is it?
I lost about 30 years ago. I wish I still had it. It's my first T-shirt I had.
This is the first thing I heard. I mean, late mid 80s. So this was sold in the store.
What bass is Cliff playing on the back? Is that a Fender P?
Could be a Fender Aerodyne.
Think so? Interesting.
No. It looks like the tuner's a Fender. Looks like a Fender. I don't know.
Looks like my old Aria 2.
Looks like Simon Phillips. Simon Wright? No, yeah. Simon Wright.
He didn't okay that photo. That's for sure.
No, it looks like he's like an obese 80-year-old guy.
he was born old, I think, man.
Yeah. But okay, I'm not gonna give this any
no, but I think
stars.
The song "Who Made Who" is a really strong song.
Yeah, it is.
If it had appeared on any of the previous 2 or 3 albums, if Who Made Who had opened side 2 of For Those About to Rock, the album would have been definitely improved.
Yeah, way better album. I agree. Yeah.
And so last week in the gym, or maybe not in the gym, maybe I was just sitting around on the couch, I listened to this. Now this album is my worst AC/DC album.
Yeah, but then again, there's probably some guy that in 1988 got this when he and I fucking love this album.
Well, don't forget. Well, this is prime time when I was buying AC/DC records. Like when I first got into AC/DC is only a couple of years before, and I'll stand up for Heatseeker. I think this is a good song. I will stand up for That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll is pretty good. But the problem with this record is it contains some of the worst songs they ever wrote. Right? Like Mean Streak.
Yeah.
But the worst ever AC/DC song, Go Zone. In the Go Zone. Or maybe I'm mixing those songs up.
This does nothing for me.
Yeah, Go Zone has got a weird walking kind of reggae bass line that's really awful, I think.
But
Kissin' Dynamite is not a bad song. Nick of Time is not very good. Some Sin for Nothing's bad. Rough Stuff. I like Rough Stuff, the song, actually. Two's Up is... I mean, look, it's okay, but it's even lower than Fly on the Wall for me.
But here they have returned to Wanda and George Young.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So then again, but this is, again, a victim of it. This is not a timeless album that you say ages really well.
No, I mean it's got still persists with the same big huge snare, and like the vocals here again. Don't forget the first Back in Black, for those about to rock, his voice is sitting out on top of the music. It's beautifully it's beautifully layered into the music. The guitar tones are clear and upfront. Everything in the last few albums, Fly on the Wall, even Who May Do, it's got too much reverb, too much outboard.
Yeah, but that's very 80s. I mean, even like Lars is saying on Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning is the victim of the reverb. It's the same here, but
yeah. Also,
production-wise, this is not a good production. This is not a good album.
No, and also the cover sucks. Like, what's going on here? You can see it's cling film clearly.
I think they've been watching Killed by Death with Motorhead and say we got. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I will stand up for Heat Seeker. I think it's a good song. Yeah. It came out. I was 13, and I really enjoyed. I had the 12-inch, which I can't find.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your. How many stars, Alan, are you going to give this shite?
That one, I'll give that. That's the lowest I would give any AC/DC album. So I'm going to give that 3, 4, maybe. 3.
3. That's pretty bad for you, man.
3 or 4.
Okay.
Well, the Fly on the Wall is 6 for me. That one is a. Well, I don't know. If against other bands, it's still got some bangers. But
this This is in 1988. It's been 8 years since Bond died. They're still selling almost 1 million a year of fucking Back in Black.
Yeah.
They're huge. They're doing stadiums there, right?
They never stop doing stadiums. Ha! Look at this. This will make you laugh. What CD is inside my Razor's Edge?
Anal Cunt.
Rotting Christ, the Mighty.
Rotting Christ. That's good.
Hello, Sakis. So here's what happened. This is a weird moment in AC/DC's career, right? So they disappear for the end of the 80s and into the early 90s, right? They disappear, which is a time when most old rock bands die. They go to die, right? Grunge is about to happen. You know, rap and hip hop is like the whole musical landscape is changing. AC/DC Blow Up Your Video is as low as they've been, right? Ever.
It's the low point, yeah.
Yeah.
But that, and for us talking about the album's low point, but are they selling less tickets?
I'd say they are selling a bit less, yeah. But they're still big enough to fill a stadium or fill 15, 20, 25,000. Like they still bring in people. But at the same time, the record sales, the lowest selling album I read is Fly on the Wall. But it's got, and which is only like 2 million or 2. So they've one album which is 65 million, one album which is 2.
It's a weird standard, yeah.
Imagine that in your own band. You have, anyway. So out of nowhere, and it really is out of fucking nowhere. 1990, Thunderstruck drops on the fucking world. 2 years off, and one of their biggest songs ever, possibly.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So they get a third wind in their career in 1990 with Razor's Edge. And this is a fucking good record, man. This is the best since, probably the best since Back in Black. You know?
Well, yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Well, okay. It has some. It has some awful songs on it, right? But it has It has 4. No, hang on. I'll give it fair. To be fair. Let me say this: Thunderstruck is a fucking classic song. It's a huge
brilliant song. Brilliant song. Almost a tenor. A tenor.
Yeah. Fire Guns is great.
It's good.
Money Talks is a fucking cool song.
It's all right.
The Razor's Edge is a weird kind of
great.
Song,
it's the darkest, most heavy song ever. Probably. It's a great song.
It's just for Christmas. Rubbish.
Terrible.
Rock Your Heart Out. Rubbish. Are You Ready? Is fucking
okay.
Are You Ready?
I don't like anything of the B-side here. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's the last good song. Are You Ready? Got You by the Balls. Rubbish. Shot of Love. Awful. Let's Make It. Meh. Goodbye and Good Riddance to Bad Luck. I don't even remember what that sounds like. And If You Dare is bad. But there are 5 fucking good songs on Razor's Edge, and they're reinventing their career.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I mean, bands like AC/DC, they only need one fucking good song, and they will sell a million copies.
Yeah. But just think about it, right? After all of that shit, how killer is Thunderstruck for just that opening riff, like AC/DC,
it's fucking amazing.
And the video and everything.
I mean,
they just showed everyone that they weren't dead,
And that riffing, it's the same standard as Smoke on the Water or Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
It's like every kid learning Thunderstruck. And even in 1990, I mean, Eddie Van Halen had been around for 15 years.
Yeah.
But this was like, holy shit, look at that.
Yeah, and it's very clever songwriting. And also there's a guy who deconstruct how to play it properly and not play it. And he's like saying that Angus is actually not just doing tremolo, that he's actually picking as well, that you can hear it, you know. But in the video, of course, he's doing that, you know. But I think this is an album that reinvents AC/DC and gives them a career for the 90s again. And I think it's half of it is a really strong record. The production is huge.
I would say 30% is really good, the rest is not so good. But it doesn't really matter because, again, I mean,
the opening 3 songs or 4 songs that's enough, you know.
The first 4 songs are good. I'd say I don't like anything else. Yeah.
Well, I think I would agree with that. I like Are You Ready, but that's it.
But this has the same elements as I say with For Those About the Rock. The opening song is just so fucking good.
Yeah. This gives AC/DC a career for the next 10 years. Thunderstruck is like, I remember at the time, this was just a song that you heard everywhere you went, in the fucking newsagent, on the TV, and for a band who were supposed to be, rock was supposed to be done in the 90s. And
this is We Are the Champions again. It's just it's like crazy good. But
the production is brilliant. Again, for the first time in 10 years, Brian Johnson's voice sounds amazing. You know,
Brian is good here.
Yeah, he's great.
The weak point I would say is there's no Phil Rudd here.
No, you're right.
There's Chris Slade has arrived here.
Yeah, but
Chris Slade is
but he's not bad. He plays it.
I mean, you know, he's an old guy. He used to play with Tom Jones in the 60s. He's been around for a long time. He's not Phil Rudd though.
No, of course not. No.
So, I mean,
what would you give it? I'd give it if Flick of the Switch is 7. This is a 6 out of 10 record,
I mean,
isn't
these questions are getting harder to answer. I mean,
6.5. Is it as good as Flick of the Switch? I prefer Flick of the Switch to this.
If I would scratch Mistress for Christmas out, I would give the side A 7.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, at the time, probably, you know, I didn't give it much. I mean, it's weird. It's an album that I shouldn't have given it as much time because I was mainly listening to Blasphemy and Master's Hammer and Beherit, but for some reason you just couldn't deny Thunderstruck.
No, you couldn't. You know, this is larger than life.
It was like Painkiller or something. You just couldn't deny it, you know.
But then again, here they are working with a fancy producer, Bruce Fairbairn. Yeah. And engineered by Mike Frazier. This is there's some names here.
Yeah.
But it's a big production though.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of remains of the 80s sort of drums. It's like gated reverb, drum sound.
Big snare sound.
Yeah. But you know, I think that's gonna move us on to the next album.
Well, the next one officially is this, which is AC/DC Live.
Yeah.
Which is a good rock record, but is a weird song list because they're still playing Heatseeker, Fire Guns. I mean, you know, The Razor's Edge is in there. It's got classic songs well, but like side 2 opens with That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. Now this is a Russian bootleg CD, so it has some demos of random. It's got Big Gun from The Last Action Hero.
Okay, but let's stop you there. That's a good song.
Big Gun, yeah.
That's a really good song.
Yeah.
A really good song. Yeah. So they were good there.
This song, this CD has a song called "Down on the Borderline," which is a demo from 1983, with a demo song by Brian Johnson that's actually as good or better than most of the songs on "Fly on the Wall," which is weird.
So I mean,
where the fuck it came from, but
it's so weird that when bands like this are not playing, because you know, if we would choose the set list, we would have a lot more stuff from Let There Be Rock or Power It or. But instead of it playing Heatseeker from the Rubbish 80s albums.
Yeah, well, don't forget that. I mean, Heatseeker was, there's no reason for That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll to be on this. I mean, you could have lots of songs instead of that, but they hadn't turned into the band that began to lean heavily on only 76 to 82 just yet. You know, they were still younger and more relevant. To like, hey, fuck
sure,
we're going to play our new songs. Now, this next one, I think, is one of... I like this record, which is Ball Breaker, but I think it's a fucking it's it's um it's a kind of a failure in that it's Rick Rubin,
I
and
don't agree, man.
I mean, no, sonically, the sound, Rick Rubin and AC/DC, you think should make sense, right? It should make sense, and yet
No.
the production is not, like, the
Okay,
sound is not what it should be.
hold your horses, Avril. Here,
Yeah,
I think. Okay, first of all, this is the first time we get the Back in Black lineup, or of course, for those about rock.
yeah. Oh, well, hang on.
So
Let me check. I think Phil
Phil,
Rudd is back on this. Yeah,
Phil Rudd is back there. I know that he's back there, and I think this is the best drum sound and especially snare sound
yeah,
since 1980.
yeah.
So
I would agree.
the drum sound on this album is fucking 10 out of 10, if you ask me. And I
Well,
think AC/DC was sort of, I didn't sort of love this album when it came out. I didn't love it for the next 10 years, but I've been getting back into it
it's a very
recently.
good record. No, don't get me wrong. I do really, really like this record. I think it's actually a very good AC/DC album. That's underlooked. What I'm trying to say is that if you think about Rubin as the guy who made Trouble, Dancing,
Sure,
First
I
Dancing,
know.
like I'd
Red
expect,
Hot Chili Peppers, your favorite.
but I expected more sonically from this record.
Sure.
It sounds like
I,
a
I,
demo. It sounds like a demo for the actual album.
so what you were hoping for was that another the Razor's Dad's comeback, sort of huge, but that didn't happen.
No, what do you mean?
Because when Razor's Dad's came out, it was like you said, the third breakthrough.
Yeah, no. I don't mean it like that. I'm only talking about the sound of this record.
But I love the sound on it.
Yeah,
So I did.
No, I like the sound. I just think it's somehow it feels to me like Ruben could have done more with it. But I don't know. I mean,
Sorry, but I totally agree, because I think I was listening to this the other day recently. I think this is the best drum sound out of all the 80s. I mean, Back in Black has a good drum sound. For those about Wreck has a fine. From 1980 till this, when does this come out? 93. So for 11, this is the best one.
This is 95, so that means they had 5 years off between the Razor's Edge and
so for the best drum sound in 14 years.
Yeah, I'd agree. I agree with you. Yeah, and it does, and it has. I mean, Hard as a Rock is brilliant.
Good.
Hail Caesar is fucking great.
The Furor.
Yeah, that's the Furor, by the way.
Furor. The Furor. What does that mean again? Do you know what it means?
Yeah, furor is like a big argument, like a huge.
Oh, yeah. But that song, that's because it's a bit of a different song. Yeah. It's like when they did "Let Me Put My Love Into You." It's like a weird AC/DC song, and it's just and same with the Razor's Edge. It's a weird AC/DC song. Yeah. So that song, I think, is the best song on the album.
I would disagree with that, but I think it's a good song. I think, again, there are 5 really good songs here, maybe 6. Hard as a Rock, Hail Caesar, Whiskey on the Rocks is good. Bull Breaker, the main song, is cool. The Furor is cool. but again, there's 5 songs I can just fucking get rid of. Caught with Your Pants Down, Love Bomb is terrible.
Yeah.
The Honey Roll is awful. Boogeyman is not bad, and
Boogeyman is. I don't like Boogeyman at all.
Yeah, it's not good, really. Cover You in Oil, blech. So there's like half of it is like fucking solid as fuck.
But the other one thing we haven't mentioned is that because we talk about some of the stuff is aging badly or not so badly, but some of these lyrical topics.
Yeah, it's just
Brian Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of sort of. I'm not gonna say rape, but it's like flirty.
Let's say creepy.
Very creepy, old creep guy lyric themes that is sort of guy that is 70 years old talking about his wiener covered in oil.
Not quite 70, maybe 50.
50? Brian Johnson.
Well, it is 1995, man. It's 20 years ago.
I'm talking about today. I mean, he's still singing this live.
Yeah, okay, but you see, he's not dead, so he still has to sing it, you know.
Yeah, but it's kind of it's very creepy, and it's.
But I agree with you in that the sense is one of the things that made Bon Scott great was that the lyrical innuendo was kind of clever, you know what I mean? but there's nothing clever about Cover You in Oil or The Honey Roll or Love Bomb. It's just
I
bad.
know.
It's like, Brian, send me some money, I'll write you some innuendo lyrics, you know. But you're right. This is a strong record. I'd say if you could take the best 5 of this and the best 5 of Razor's Edge and give them a production that's between those two records,
This production, if you
yeah,
ask me. Anyway,
and a little bit of the oomph of Razor's Edge, right? Take the best 5 of each. That's a fucking great AC/DC record. Maybe a 5 of
yeah,
each. Maybe the best AC/DC record since Back in Black.
yeah. But you know, I didn't like this until I got back to it.
Yeah,
I have to admit recently, because
yeah.
I
The
had
heart,
sort of written it off.
yeah,
Yeah,
and also the live DVD of this. I think it's in the Bull Ring in Spain. But the Bull Breaker Bull Ring show is one of my favorite DVDs. The
yeah.
Coliseum is really, really great. So I is it a flick of the switch, as you said, is a 7. What's this then? 6, 5, 6,
It's not 8. It's not 6.
6.5.
7. 6.5, 7, 6.7. I don't know. I don't like this stupid
6.75. Okay. All right. Well then, what have we got next? We have Stiff Upper Lip.
I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think it's a good record.
I feel safe. This is the one with I feel safe in New York City and all
The
that.
song Stiff Upper Lip, yeah. I mean, Can't Stand Still is a good song. I mean, again, it's produced by George Young. Okay, so they went back again.
Yeah.
Like, to me, this is a very consistent sounding record. Like, it's like an old school blues record. It's very mid paced. Got lots of tasty blues.
That's very lazy stuff.
Yeah,
Old
it's
school.
very
Yeah.
slow, kind of mid paced. It doesn't have much. Like, the guitar tone is barely distorted, but it's somehow.
This doesn't do much for me, this album.
No, but you know what? It's better than you think if you go back to it. Like, it's got a kind of soulful, rich tone. The guitar tone is nice. The vocals sound quite nice. And if you bang up Stiff Upper Lip when it kicks in, it's.
But you mentioned 2 words here: soulful and bluesy. I don't really like that about AC/DC, unless you are singing "Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire" or "Ride On" or stuff like that.
This album to me is an album that sounds like AC/DC went back and really tried to pick the pocket of 1965, 68.
Being lazy. Let's just go and do some blues songs.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like they went back and started listening again to, like, Rolling Stones and Lightning Hopkins and fucking Lead Belly, and this is a kind of old Delta-y blues sounding record that I don't think is bad. But it's not.
Don't like it. It's a 5er.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I mean, House of Jazz, Meltdown is okay. It's a meltdown. It's got a groove. I'll say that it's got a groove. But there's no standout songs on it. The title track is the best song. Come and Get It. All Screwed Up. Give It Up.
Do you know what else has groove?
If you say something like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'm gonna.
Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic has groove.
Sure. Well, what year is Stiff Upper Lip, by the way? Because there's a lot
95, 96.
No, Ball Breaker is 95. This is like 2000 or something.
2000.
Yeah, it's exactly 2000.
So
and I think this. I would imagine this record barely sold 1 million, 1.5 million copies.
So is Black Ice the next one, or Rock or Burst?
Black Ice is next.
Black Ice. I like this when it came out. It was like.
Yeah, I think this is well, just to put it in context. This is the first album that AC/DC released since For Those About to Rock that goes back into #1 on all the album charts in every country, and this I think sold over 10 million copies worldwide. I think.
Why is that? I mean, there's no Thunderstruck on it, or
no. The reason is because AC/DC stopped more or less in 2000, right? Making records. They stopped for 10 years. The music industry changed. People became really nostalgic about.
Hold on. Are there 10 years between Black Ice?
8.
And
8.
8. Okay.
So I think the music industry changed. I think people began to reassess these old bands like AC/DC and start to give them, in terms of sentimentality, nostalgia, and just reappraise the great things about AC/DC.
Are you saying there's a chance for old cunts like me and you with our bands?
No, That's not what I'm saying at
Oh,
all.
great, great.
I'm saying that somewhere between AC/DC being insignificant in 2000 and taking almost 10 years off, by 2008, public opinion has risen again to AC/DC. People are excited again about AC/DC. And that rock and roll train, with the train bursting through in that song,
Yeah.
and the live show from that year is fucking brilliant. I mean, I don't know if you saw
They,
them for that.
so they've become more towards being Rolling Stones.
Yeah, an absolute classic rock band. And
Yeah.
the period of the end of the 90s, early 2000s are over, where no one kind of give a shit. All of a sudden, every Foo Fighters and whoever else are talking about Power Age, and normal musicians are giving credit to AC/DC as being the greatest rock and roll band. All of a sudden, they've become the greatest rock and roll band in the world by taking 8 years off. And this comes out and it goes into number one in what, 25 countries?
I remember.
Like
I mean,
and it's the first number one record.
And this is with what's his name? It's a new producer here.
It's the guy who does everything after this, Brendan O'Brien.
Brendan O'Brien.
And I mean, it's a weird sounding record in the sense that it sounds like they just literally put the mics in the rehearsal room, plugged them in. The guitar tone is very washy, has no body, but yet at the same time, I listened to this as well last week, and I've got to say, I mean, Rock and Roll Train is good, Big Jack is good, War Machine is good, Spoiling for a Fight is good, Wheels is cool, Decibel's pretty cool.
I haven't listened to this in a while. I'm remembering it now.
The song Black Ice is good. Okay, so the awful shit is Rockin' All the Way is not great. Rock and Roll Dream, okay, Money Made is a bad song. She Likes Rock and Roll, forgettable. Anything goes.
But they've always had, I mean, ever since after Back in Black, it's always been like 3 or 4 really bad songs on this album.
One of the reasons why is because since Blow Up Your Video has 10 songs, since bands went from putting 8 to 10 to 12 to 14, this has 14 or 15 songs on it. I don't need 15 new AC/DC songs.
It's too much, way too much.
If all of those albums were trimmed to 8, including Blow Up Your Video and whatever, we would have better records. This is 5 songs too many, but I think there are 6 or 7 pretty bloody good songs on this that if you put on Spoiling for a Fight, you'll be like, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I would say like 3 or 4 that I really like of this album.
I think 3 or 4 I really like, but there's 3 or 4 that are also like Decibel, like I said. The title song Black Ice is good. I think it's a strong record. I think it gave them another boost in their career for the next 20 years or to next 10 years
you're talking about their 4th one.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they became like ultimate classic rock.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it at the time. It made me very happy to see.
I mean, it's kind of cool because when you were saying, remember in '90, I mean, they were doing sort of Monsters of Rock with Pantera and Metallica in Russia. They were there, but at this stage in their career, they're maybe more like the Rolling Stones. They're playing 40,000 stadiums by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them in Ireland on this, and there was about 80,000 people there. 80.
That's crazy. That's Rolling Stone size, man.
Yeah. So, and in 1996, there's no way. I saw them in 96 to maybe about 10 or 12. So in that period, in that 10 years, they'd gone from everyone. It's like a whole generation of people had rediscovered and went, my God, how incredible is this band? We're lucky to have
I've never seen this band live.
What? Really? I saw them for Razor's Edge. I saw them for Ball Breaker, and I saw them for this twice. And honestly, man, that moment in 2008 when the fucking train smashed through the backdrop, and it was just like, oh, it's fucking AC/DC, and I hadn't seen him in over 10 years. It was just ecstasy. It was amazing. Just like, oh, they're fucking back again, You know,
really nice. I don't know. They never came here, I never chased them.
Well, the next time, okay, if they come back and play next year, we're going to see them. We have to go and see them.
Only if Axl Rose is singing.
Fuck you. Come. All right, so
But then again, I will stand by that. I think Axl Rose did more justice to AC/DC than Brian can today. I love Brian Johnson, but he doesn't have it anymore to do live.
Well, I will say that when I saw them 10 or 12 or whatever it is years ago, he could still do it. He still had the voice. Now, okay, so there's a bit in the middle where there's a solo. I mean, but he's 70, 4, 5 now? So this will be the last tour, I imagine. And if he gets through 2-hour set and he's still doing okay,
Fucking hell.
like fucking hell, man, you know.
Yeah.
So, then we have
Rock or Burst.
Rock or Bust, which I like. Not, you know, I think
this. I have to admit, I haven't really listened that much to that one.
This is outtakes from Black Ice because of course Malcolm Young dies. So,
so hold on. I mean, is it outtakes?
Yeah, this is songs apparently ideas that did. You know, Malcolm can't play the. You know, Malcolm has kind of gone senile by now, right? For Rock or Bust.
Oh, yes, dementia. Yeah.
So he's kind of gone senile. And these are
so Malcolm is alive then.
He's alive, but he doesn't. He's alive, but he doesn't play on this.
So this is the album that they say that it was written from ideas that he had demo.
And it's really interesting in that it has a really nice, big. I don't know if you can see all this book in it, and it discusses. Like, it's really quite nice, cool book.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, and so they were playing and recording this as a 4-piece.
Can you put it on the screen like you did last time?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Because you couldn't.
Oh yeah, of course.
But this is good. Oh yeah, this is good.
You know, it's kind of like.
So there's no the Stevie Young is not playing. It's just Angus playing the rhythm. Yeah. There's photos of Stevie Young there though.
Maybe he's on it then.
I mean, he was showing me a picture of him.
Yeah. Well,
Stevie Young did the tour.
He did. So it doesn't. I mean, honestly, man, it doesn't have much in the way of information about
what are the hit songs there.
Here you go. Like, look.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, and the last
it's like, you know,
is his guitar with the pickup missing.
Of course.
Yeah. So I mean, this is worth a listen to. I mean, I think the song "Rock or Bust" is really good. I think "Play Ball" is good. Then the rest of the side one, not so much. Side two has got "Sweet Candy," which is cool. "Emission Control," which sounds like Aerosmith, a strange song. "Rock the House." I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. It's better than
good for what it is. Yeah, okay.
And it's better production than Black Ice, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you're right. This.
It's a decent record, you know.
Okay, you know, for a late career AC/DC.
It's still. I mean,
we are not comparing this to Back in Black.
No, we're not. But you put on the song "Rock or Bust" when you're going out in the car next time or going to the gym. Put on the first two songs, "Rock or Bust" and "Into Play Ball," and you're like, this is pretty fucking good, you know.
Yeah.
Now we get to the last album, which I don't actually have original. I thought I bought it.
Well, that before that, I mean, they fire Phil Rudd for hiring a hitman or being on crystal meth and shit.
Yeah.
It was like
all sorts of crazy.
I mean, this is crazy. First of all, your lead singer, of course, dies out of alcohol poisoning. Malcolm goes to rehab in the 80s. Yeah. Stevie Young fills him in. They don't tell anyone. Yeah, he's just standing there.
Yeah, Stevie Young fills in on the Blow Up Your Video tour.
So they didn't really tell anyone. He's just there.
Yeah, which is classic.
Then of course they fire Phil Rudd in the 80s.
And he comes back then in 95, 94, yeah.
Then of course Malcolm loses his health and dies.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson, they fire him again.
Yeah, the hearing thing was weird. I don't know what that was about. I actually personally think that what happened is that Brian Johnson had cancer or something, and they didn't say. And they said the hearing thing was just.
You think so?
I think something more serious was happening, and they had tour dates booked. And Angus, being Angus, just went, "No, we're going ahead and doing them. You recover." Like the hearing thing, really. I mean, look, how many times a millionaire is Brian Johnson? And they couldn't have done an implant and fixed his fucking hearing or something. There's like some bone therapy they put.
But this is the thing about Izzy. They don't do press releases. They don't interact. They're just very secretive. None of your fucking business. They don't even. We haven't mentioned this. When Brian came into the band, apparently he was like, "Hey, on the stage, hey man, how are you doing? Ready to party?" And they were like, "Hey, dude, we don't fucking do this. We just no fucking talking. We just full-on rock and roll, no fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
They've always been like that.
Yeah.
There's no fucking bullshit, no gimmicks or.
No, you're totally right. I mean, I'd like to hear them do a version of Thy Mighty Contract. It would be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
No. Anyway, so
hold on. So Malcolm dies.
Yeah.
Stevie becomes a full member. I mean, he's on the fucking band photos. He's in the studio on the tours.
Yeah.
He's using Malcolm's guitar.
Yeah.
He's using his amplifiers and basically after this, Cliff Williams retires.
Yeah, and it seems to me that Cliff retires because Phil was gone, and because
but then the weird thing is that it's only Angus left. Brian is out of the picture.
Yeah,
Phil Rudd is out.
Yeah.
Malcolm is dead.
Yeah.
And Cliff has retired.
Yeah.
So Angus Young is alone in fucking AC/DC with his cousin Stevie on the side.
It's crazy. Yeah. So what does he do? Does he get Chris Slade back? And like, I think even he must know, well, we're not going to get a new bass player, are we? Or like, what do we do? You know?
I'm sure that the guy, what's his name again? The guy on Powerheads.
Oh, Mark Evans.
Mark Evans was waiting by the telephone.
Yeah.
and the Chris, what's his name? The first singer, Dave Evans.
Dave Evans, yeah.
Dave Evans was sitting by the telephone, man.
Yeah, I mean, but being in typical AC/DC fashion, just being like old dudes who probably just had a beer together and went, let's sort it out. There was like a pre-phone call going, come on, let's do this, and they go back in and shot in the dark. I mean, there's a photo taken of them all out on a deck somewhere in Canada, recording, all having a cigarette and a coffee, all talking, and some photographer goes, or somebody just goes click and goes, holy shit, AC/DC are back, and it's all of AC/DC, like it's all of them.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Stevie is. I mean, he has the same blood, you know.
Yeah.
He has the last name. He's the right last name, so he's the legal member.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone saw that coming, really.
No, definitely not.
They got Cliff out of retirement.
Yeah, but well, you see, I think the thing with Cliff is according to him, he just didn't like where it was going. He was just like, I didn't start this band to not be in it with Phil or Brian. I'm not doing it with Axl Rose, and he's just like, no, this is not for me. But so then I'm just looking at here now because for some reason I don't have Power Up, and you know what? I listened to this a lot when it came out. I think
I did as well.
I think it's a good record. It's not brilliant, but it's fucking good.
It's a decent record. I mean,
Okay, well, let's look at the song list. I think the song Realize is good. Rejection, okay. Shot in the Dark, the single, is pretty cool. Through the Mist of Time is alright. Kick You When You're Down. Witch's Spell is cool. Demon's Fire is cool.
Through the Mist of Time video was pretty cool.
Yeah, so Witch's Spell and Demon Fire I like. And then the whole rest of the album, the last 5 songs, Wild Reputation, No Man's Land, Systems Down, Money Shot, Code Red. Okay. But there's 3 or 4, again, pretty good songs in there.
But compared to the spirit of the band, let's say in March, April 1980, when they wrote fucking Back in Black in a month.
Of course, but it's 42 years later. 40
yeah,
years.
I know, but you can tell, I mean, it's not really the same band with the same spirit.
No, well, of course not. But I mean, there's a difference between
of course,
men in their 30s and men in their 70s.
Of course,
of course. So you've got to take it in context. In that the fact that Power Up sounds like it has so much energy, it's quite incredible. Like it sounds like the song "Shot in the Dark" is like, when I first heard it, like I was like, "What the fuck, AC/DC have a new single?" And somebody sent the link and went, "Yeah, check it out. It's pretty good." And I was like, "Come on, really?" And again,
how good can it be?
Yeah, and then, well, I mean, it's AC/DC, right? So, but it sounded quite fresh and quite vital, and like it had some energy in it. Yeah, of course, it's not great, but
it's their last album.
Yeah, realistically, I could see I couldn't see them doing a tour like they used to, but they can definitely do weekends.
They haven't announced any tour, right?
No, not yet.
So, I mean, well, no one saw this album
Well, AC/DC is too big to move into place if all nonsense restrictions come back and all this bullshit. If all that bullshit moves back into place, you, to have moved it like a couple of €1 million a show band into a
Metallica do
stadium
it.
into place and what?
Metallica doing it.
Yeah, AC/DC is bigger than Metallica, though. I mean, AC/DC is a bigger thing to move into like a huge.
Are
Like,
they bigger than Metallica today?
yeah, they are, of course. I think they pull AC/DC as big as Metallica are. Don't get me wrong, but AC/DC, if they come into town, will do the biggest football stadium. It's a little difference, but I mean, I think you're.
How much did Guns N' Roses pull at Slane Castle in Ireland?
I think everybody at Slane Castle usually pulls between 40 and 80,000. I think it's that much, you know. I mean,
Would they play at Slane Castle or?
AC/DC probably. Well, the last time they came here, they played their own gig in the middle of the country, and that's where 80,000 people went to.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think people would know this is the last time you're going to see AC/DC. Maybe, you know, it's very hard to know. I think all those bands are going to be 40,000 pullers, but don't forget, there's plenty of shows Metallica still do to 10 to 15 to 20,000.
Yeah. They play around more. Yeah.
AC/DC, it's a football stadium, and that's kind of it. But I'm not sure. I guess they're waiting to see if all of this disappears, and if they do, they might announce something.
I mean, they could then, because no one foresaw this album, or that with almost the same lineup.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe in 4 years, well, they're all in their 70s.
They are all, Brian Johnson's already 74, 75. Like, he's a bit older than the rest of them. Like, this is his last go, I'd say. Although Klaus Meine is still singing for the Scorpions at 76. You know,
he's probably taking better care of himself. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Brian Johnson seems like a pretty robust guy, and it is weird to watch AC/DC doing.
Have you heard Brian Johnson talk? He's like the cookie. He's like the Cookie Monster. Yeah.
Fucking crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's actually his TV show is cool, where he goes and meets old dudes. And
he was hanging with Dave Grohl, talking about them cars and shit.
Of course, he was hanging with Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl gets in everywhere, you know.
Yep. Have you had enough of him? Oh yeah. Next, we're doing all the Foo Fighters albums, right?
Right. Well, all of them. The world does not need the fucking Foo Fighters. Such rubbish.
You can pick Chili Peppers or Foo Fighters.
Well, if I mean, it could be a good hate fuck, you know, like Foo Fighters is just rock and roll with every single instinct of rock and roll.
I think we should stay on point. Let's stay on point here.
Okay.
Are we done with this episode, or is something to add?
I think that's it. It's AC/DC, the second part of it. It's I think there's some really poor songs and low points and weird things, but I think there's also some rewarding things in it that people maybe don't know all of those things. I would recommend having a listen to Flick in the Switch if you don't know it, and there's a few deep cuts on some of those records, and also, as you say, Ball Breaker. Take a look, pull out Heart of the Rock and stuff.
Fucking drum sound, amazing, yeah.
Yeah, there's good things in all everything since Back in Black and Flows Back to Rock. There are good songs there, and there's good albums. There's some odd things as well, though, you know.
Yeah. All right then. That sums it up.
All right, Chief.